Now, yeah, the update we bring right here on this particular platform about the sudden resignation of ECG boss, Mr. Samuel Dubik Mahama. Now, this particular man, he was the ECG boss until just last week. He resigned on that same day. This is not just any normal resignation. This was an immediate resignation. Or say he wants nothing to do with the electricity company of Ghana. So what happened in regards with this whole ECG work, and as any government work, you give a prior notice. Usually that's the norm. But for you to say you are resigning suddenly, you need to do the mass together, add the bit and pieces together. Then you realize that there's something fishy. So everybody was asking questions. What is really going on? And we're proud to now. The man has been complaining for some months now. Say, do so and any ECG full fault. It was because the government was not being transparent with the people. There was no money to buy gases and stuff. And then the government was numb and the pressure was on him. And so also a co-engagement when you do light and Akuffo say, ECG boss and you do light. Meanwhile, he was saying, they are just people a distribute. Your friend is saying, and I said they just distribute the power. But suppliers of the power, no, and he agreed cool. Any other companies or more no mutimi or more de inyam kania no more de distributor my household. So this man has been complaining. Now we also learned say at the ECG headquarters room, the board of directors, which one of the board of directors say Akyem Mafia room, there's been a constant power struggle between Akyem Mafia, the board of directors, and this man. Why? It is because this man or a different direction. He believes that ECG should be heading towards ABC. And then the board of directors is also thinking otherwise. And then you have MPPs, unless Akyem Mafia, who happens to be, I think, the majority leader in parliament, also saying another thing. So there's been a power struggle at the ECG board of directors. According to sources, what we are learning is that a hinder panel from effectively doing his work. And it has boiled down, piled up, and also escalated to this point. The man says that they be Ojai. Send the nimbe guase pa die any ankenejuma bono, and he did it so honorably. Left, said he doesn't want to be a part of this dubious MPP administration. Now, in some way, by shockingly, but pay resigning yawa ma prior notice within 24 hours because the board of directors were in disarray. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to explain because the man didn't even give any prior reason for him to resign. So people were asking, say, "Did pay na cost for ECG?" And the fact say over 15 or 20,000 workers, I said no. The whole company was saying like, what is going on? Because you penny I resign here. Do we even have faith? And less than 24 hours, unless Akyem Mafia and this same board of directors are more actions, any inactions, a pushy, Samuel Dubik Mahama out of power. No, they brought out a new face. Said the person should be the new boss of ECG, acting boss of ECG within just 24 hours. Picture this man also can say ECG company is living on a time bomb. Why? Because the ECG company year on for the past 4 years in Akuffo's administration, they've been making losses. This is why he's saying so. Last year alone, per reports Saka confirmed, they say ECG made a loss of 3.5 billion cedis. The question is how? The reason is because, number one, according to them, they use certain gadgets, gas, they buy those in dollars. Into a ton about $10. Now at $10, our ton $1 9 cedis. Or bebo be ye jumano. Or best I call back na dollar no 16 cedis. So you see that even or background or the profit to swa or back back now sanko tobio na dollar na sanko. So every time they are making losses, and that contributed to ECG's loss of 3.5 billion cedis just last year alone. And this is what he's saying, which is very shocking. According to Apeyin Semokan, ECG is living on a time bomb. So whoever assumes power 2025 will have a big problem to fix because ECG is skinny hot. The reason why the power is a bit stable is because of politics. Yeah, quiet elections. The government doesn't want to expose itself and expose its butt naked. Internally, or discuss ECG mu cushioning and pumping money into the electricity company of Ghana. So that it can stay afloat and give Ghana and a friend is saying the rest of the country stable power for now. I think we do a kobasa, but it's a bit better. Immediately after the elections, if there's no money to continue to fund this kind of lifestyle, doom so return. So you see a problem nankasa de ewo but this kind of the atale and that is the normal Ghanaian mentality. Don't fix the problem, adjust it. Don't fix the problem, adjust it. And now, even if the National Democratic Congress assumes power in 2025, they will have a big hurdle in terms of the ECG because there's no money. They are making year on losses. There's no money to fund gas. There's even no money in the government coffers. So what is really going on? But in all this, we have uncovered an audio detailing how these sequence of events happen and how Ghana for should be worried. Said this Akuffo and the Akyem Mafia, they are destroying everything that is left in this country. Who do we blame? We blame we ourselves, those of us who voted for him and campaigned for him to come to power. We will continue and give you more updates.
ECG the legal practitioner Dubik Mahama. But I saw a post. First of all, confirm whether it's indeed your post. The post where you had indicated that he was being pushed because he wasn't complying with something. I think this was just before the announcement of his resignation came up. Was that your verified account? Is that your post?
Yes, Randy, exactly so. I posted about 5 or 10 minutes before the announcement came out because I had gotten information that some people related to the president insisted on procuring light crude oil in a certain manner, which Dubik, the MD for ECG, resisted. Because when ECG and the other stakeholders in the energy sector appeared before the Mines and Energy Committee somewhere in May, June, the cause of the load shedding then was inadequate fuel. Because this government hasn't added any infrastructure to the gas processing plant they inherited, and I can confirm to you that not even 1 kilometer of pipeline has been added to what this government inherited. Now demand has stripped the supply of gas, and so there's a deficit of about 60 MMscf. So they have to procure light crude oil at about $40 million every month. That translates to about 180 million by the time this year ends. But that is not even the problem. The key problem is who procures the light crude oil. We've maintained that VRA, being the lead agency in the generation sector, should rather be procuring the light crude oil for the other entities. But when Ken Ofori-Atta was minister, he insisted that the procurement is done directly under his instructions, and ECG is then instructed to pay directly without recourse to the cash waterfall mechanism. And you and I recall that PRC has been up in arms with ECG because when they do that, they no longer adhere to the principle of the cash waterfall mechanism. And so recently, Dubik has tried to exercise his authority and to do what is right and proper. That has led to the decision to kick him out. He was determined to do what is proper, what is right, and restore to the cash waterfall mechanism, such that if anybody wanted to buy fuel, it will reflect in the cash waterfall mechanism. We'll know those behind the procurement of fuel so that we can track it. But he was asked to exit, and unfortunately, he's exited. And that is why he cited personal reasons for his decision to exit. But the painful thing is that by the end of the year, we'll have a debt of about $480 million on account of light crude oil. Meanwhile, Talo has put together a proposal to government to ramp up the production of gas by an additional 100 MMscf. That will be enough to meet our requirement. The government has not responded positively, and so as a result, there's a deadlock, and we will continue to procure light crude oil. This month, they've not been able to procure enough light crude oil. And so there's a deficit of about 500 megawatts, leading to the current load shedding that we are experiencing.
So you're saying that we have a problem. We're solving the problem with the procurement of crude at $40 million a month. This is not going through the cash waterfall mechanism. However, ECG is paying for this crude, or is expected to pay for this crude, with money that accrues under the cash waterfall mechanism. Although the purchase is not going through the cash waterfall mechanism. It's gotten to a point where the MD thinks that things must change, and he obviously has had to leave. And we're shedding load because we've not been able to procure $40 million worth of crude. And you also say that there appears to be an alternative of a ramping up, which has been presented to government, but government has not heeded to that, ostensibly because government is rather interested in the procurement of crude at $40 million a month. Is that a point you're making?
Precisely so. Precisely so. And not just that. Tullow has been supplying gas, and since January to date, not even $1 has been paid to Tullow. You can cross-check from Tullow. Please cross-check from Tullow. ENI has also been supplying gas. Indeed, ENI, the ENI floating storage unit, which is the FSRU, has an integrated gas processing plant as part of the FSRU. Now FPSO, floating storage and production and offloading unit. As we speak, ENI has not been paid, and so ENI has drawn down on the guarantee to an extent that out of the 500 million, the guarantee is now 1